Good morning from Pagnituan National High School. Ma'am Lucy May Tives. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning to Ma'am Mary Grace Vinos. It's Akbaranas from Pagnituan National High School. Good morning, Ma'am Binet Migrinyo. Good morning, Sir Jason M. Cesar. Good morning, Ma'am Ivy from Cadillac National High School. From Sir Paul's School. Good morning, Ma'am Annabel Lasea from Congressman Pablo Malasinao High School. Mayong buntag sa tanan from Hagway High School. Good morning, Ma'am Pellegrina Lumba from Loon South National High School. Hello there from my hometown, my birthplace, Loon. Good morning. Good morning from San Roque National High School, Albuquerque, from Ma'am Carla Dales. Hi, Ma'am Carla. Okay. So since we have reached 54, so we are now we are ready to start our last day of our webinar on teaching grammar communicatively in the Philippines for junior high school teachers of CD1. So to formally start our session for today, may I request everyone to sit comfortably as begin with our hymns, our nationalistic song, and prayer through PPT. Sir Paul.
Ako'y anak ng lupang hinirang, kung saan matatagpuan ang timyas ng perlas ng silangan, nagniningning sa buong kapuluan. Taglay ko ang hiwaga ng silangan, at saan mang bayan o lungsod, maging timog, hilaga at kanluran, ang Pilipino ay namumugot. Sama-sama nating abutin pinagkamatayog na bituin, at ang aking tagumpay, tagumpay ng aking lahi, tagumpay ng aking lipi, ang tanging hinimithi at hinahangad. Hangad ko'y tagumpay natin lahat. Ako ay may isang munting pangarap sa ating dakilang lupain, at sa sama-sama nating pagsisikap, sama-sama ring mararating ang iba't ibang galaw, iisang patutunguhan. Dito isang araw, isang kapuluan. Sama-sama nating abutin pleasing sacrifice. Lord, I offer you my life. Things in the past, things yet unseen, wishes and dreams that are yet to come true. All of my heart and all of my praise, my heart and my hands are lifted to you. Lord, I offer my life to you, everything I've been through. Use it for your glory. Lord, I offer my days to you, placing my praise to you as a pleasing sacrifice. Lord, I offer you my life. What can we give that you have not given? What do we have that is not already yours? All we possess that is not worth living, and that's what we give to you, Lord. Lord, I offer my life to you, everything I've been through. Use it for your glory. Lord, I offer my days to you, lifting my praise to you as a pleasing sacrifice. Lord, I offer you my life. Lord, I offer you my
All right, good morning everyone to our 68 participants coming from the junior high school department from CD1. I'm hoping that my voice is loud and clear in your end. Um, our next speaker for session 5 is a very renowned teacher in the division of Bohol. He graduated Doctor of Education in Educational Management at Bohol Island State University main campus as summa cum laude. He graduated Master of Educational Management at the same school, magna cum laude. He was able to publish a dissertation in the International Journal of World Englishes and Educational Practices. He also became an editor of the International Journal for World Englishes and Educational Practices. He is an awardee as Regional Best Entry in DYHP Kini ang Akong Suliran. He also received an award as Best English, Best in Flash Fiction writer during the National Training of Trainers in English held in Tansa, Cavite. He's also a regional resource speaker during the Mass Training of Trainers MTOT in English Grade 7. He is also awarded as Most Outstanding Grade 11 Senior High School Teacher way back 2017. Also, he received an award as Most Outstanding Paper in 2018, Division Finalist, Most Outstanding Secondary School Teacher in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our speaker for session 5. We have the school head of Cabilo National High School, Dr. Peter Paul Kubay.
All right, thank you so much for the generous introduction, Sir Ronilo Kalingkod. I would like to ask our participants if am I audible, so please key in number 1 on the chat box if am I audible, so that I can get started with the business today. All right, am I audible to everyone? All right, I'd like to have from our participants. All right, thank you. Now, anyway, before anything else, I would like to greet everyone. Good morning from all the English teachers of Congressional District 1. Of course, our secondary teachers composed of 40 schools in City 1, good morning. And of course, I would like to throw out my greetings to the training team of City 1, of course, headed by our training manager, Sir Ronilo Palingkod. Good morning, sir. Our concurrent sessions in charge, Mama Luar Basto. Good morning, ma'am. And of course, my co-speakers, equally competent and brilliant speakers. On the list, we have Sir Felix Anyasco, Dr. Jesse Locajes, Sir Marvin Lambos, Dr. Gemma Calakar, and of course, Ma'am Pergrita Datahan. And of course, I would like to greet good morning to our division office personnel headed by our schools division superintendent, Dr. Bianito Dagatan, CISO 5, our two assistant schools division superintendent, Dr. Danilo Gudilusaw, and Dr. Faustino Turadio, our EPSS, our public schools district supervisors, our school heads, and much of course, our public secondary school, junior high school teachers of City 1. Good morning, everyone. All right, so welcome aboard to flight session number 5, which is planning lesson using the communicative approach. So here I'm going to teach you the different ways how to plan lesson plan. So I am your flight attendant for today. Enjoy the Sea of Clouds adventure, and of course, learn on this session. All right, and for us to get started, I would like to give credit to this slide, which is created by Miss Samantha Parks. So I just modified this one to custom fit for us in our CD1 for our division training. So actually this was cascaded to us in the region, and now we are here serving for the division for CD1. All right. So for us to get started, let us get to know the terminal objective of the session. So the participants shall be able to write a communicative lesson plan. So that is our terminal point, that we will be able to write a communicative lesson plan. And of course, here are our enabling objectives. Follow steps to create a communicative lesson. Identify the components of a communicative lesson and adopt lesson components for teaching online or in other modalities. All right, so here we go. So for us to be guided on the flow of the session, let us have the following agenda. So here the first, review of the Super 6. Second, we have steps to create a communicative lesson. Third, parts of a communicative lesson. And of course, the last, lesson demo with adaptation. All right, so now for us to have a glimpse on the previous session yesterday, what are the Super 6 error correction techniques you learned yesterday in correcting grammar errors and giving feedback? So in fact, Sir Marvin was able to discuss full-blown the different error techniques. And in fact, he was able to mention the mnemonics, how to recall easily those 6. Now in my part, I used to have other type of mnemonics. I use this RCMERA or RCMER. So R stands for recast, C for clarification request, M for metalinguistic, E for elicitation, R for repetition, and of course, E for the explicit correction technique. All right, now the 6, Super 6 actually are classified into 2 broad kinds of techniques. So the first 5 belong to the implicit, and of course, the last is the explicit. Speaking about implicit, that is something that is not shown, something that is not obvious, but you are giving correction. And you say explicit, something that a teacher is trying to give correction directly to the students in some parts of the mistakes. All right. Now let us have to have a review of the 6. So we see recast. What is the teacher is trying to do here after spotting the mistake committed by the students? So the teacher is trying to repeat the same line with the correct grammar. So when the student's able to get wrong, the teacher is trying to give the correct grammar. That's the recast. And for the clarification request, the teacher is trying to correct the students implicitly after noticing the mistake by asking question, pardon again? What is it again? Like that. So the teacher is trying to clarify. That's clarification request. And then for metalinguistic feedback, the teacher is trying to give comments implicitly by giving the rule. So for example, the student would say, we looked at the sky yesterday. And then the teacher would say, was it going to be correct when we're going to refer to the past action? And the student would say, there is ed. And now the students would have to give the correct answers. We looked at the sky yesterday. All right. That is meta-linguistic feedback. And for elicitation, in the elicitation, the teacher is trying to correct the wrong grammar of the students by repeating or by saying partially the sentence, and the students will have to correct that or continue correcting that. All right. And then for the repetition, the teacher is trying to repeat the line said by the student, and the student is going to correct that. For example, if the student would say, we as family, the teacher would say, we as? So the students would say, we are family. So that's repetition. The teacher is trying to repeat the line said by the students that is containing the wrong or error. And of course, the explicit technique wherein the teacher is trying to give out the correct grammar rule. For example, if the students would say, Pedro runs fastly, and the teacher is sensitive to that mistake. Fastly, so fastly, there is no rule such fastly. In grammar, you have to use fast that refers to an adverb fastly. So the students will say, Pedro runs fast. All right. So those are the super six error correction technique. And those things are very applicable in this session because we're going to create a lesson plan and we're going to use the correction technique in the delivery of the lesson. All right. So where we go? Now, what is the most important thing to know about giving feedback to students? Now, I believe that everyone is aware that when we conducted classes during the face-to-face time, and even right now in the pandemic, we used to encounter a lot of errors committed by our students. So what is the most important thing to know about giving feedback to students? How are we going to provide feedback to them in case mistake will happen? So here are the following things to ponder. According to Amelia Josie Garcia, the best correction technique is the one that best fits our learners. So there is no correction technique that fits all. So it depends on the kind of mistakes that the student commit that a teacher is using a particular kind of correction technique. It doesn't mean that recast is always the best. So of course, when we see our students having uptake and repair, when we give correction, that is the best correction technique. So we will not stop unless the mistake is solved or the mistake is addressed. Okay. Another is, according to Zinesa Obrador, there is no secret to error correction and feedback. These are teaching skills that take practice and develop over time. So there's no secret because everything can be learned. When you are in the field, when you practice the teaching, you're actually doing it in the job. And then, of course, as you go along with your journey in teaching, you get to realize that you're improving yourself. When there were times that you were unable to give correction to students who committed mistakes, this time you are now so expert. It is because your experience will otherwise tell you or teach you something. All right? Do you agree with me that when we are in the field for overtime, we are able to develop ourselves? So there is no secret to error correction. All right, here. For me, the best part in week 4 session was the uptake and repair. It was the moment when the learners noticed the wrong grammar and immediately respond to correct them based on feedback. That's according to Jen Napao Lieno. All right. It is a great achievement for us teachers. If we can be able to see our student able to realize their mistakes and eventually correct their own, wow, it's a great thing. We're able to make it that day. We're successful in our teaching. And therefore, our preparation is worth it when we can see our students improving. So even a little thing, even just a simple subject-verb agreement, and we see our students doing right, then it's a great thing for us. We have to tap our shoulders if we can make it in a day. All right, so that's it. And the fifth, in correcting students' errors, don't over or under correct them. Find a balance. Everything should be in balance, like that of our body. When our sugar is too high, we'll have problems. And if our blood is also too high, our pressure is too high, then there's always problem. In the same manner for correction, we will not overcorrect the students. We see about overcorrection is you're trying to highlight a certain mistake by student and you're trying to make it as a subject in a class. And everybody's eyes are watching to the students who committed mistakes. You focus on a certain mistake committed by the students and all people are into that mistake. So that overcorrection. Sometimes overcorrection will lead to humiliations and sometimes intimidation on the part of the students, and they will no longer see it again next time because they're afraid that they are laughed by other classmates. So overcorrection is not good. And in the same manner, undercorrection also. We see under correction, you are giving less to what is supposed to be exact. So what is the best here is we will have to give exactly what is needed. What is the right correction? So if the problem is solved, then we are giving the right correction. So do not overdo and underdo. Or that's the technique. That's according to Ira Limonco. All right, so here we go. Again, the agenda for this session, review the Super 6, step for creating a lesson plan, parts of a communicative lesson, lesson demo with adaptations. I hope that everyone's able to hear my voice clearly and I'm able to catch the way I speak. Sometimes I'm too fast. This is really my normal speed, but I'm trying to reduce the speed. Planning lessons using the communicative approach. I'd like to show you here pictures or illustrations. All right, so we have a man stepping on an arrow in a circular path, and there is also a picture of a bulb at the center, and there are surrounding metal strips. And there's also a picture of 3 boxes with check. And then if we are going to sum up all these pictures, we will come up to the word think. What is it in relation to think? All right. So if you look at lesson plan, it is a product of thinking. We cannot create a lesson plan unless we come up with a thorough thinking. We must have to brainstorm ourselves. What is the best lesson plan that I have to prepare? Should it be okay for the students? Will we give justice to my lesson this morning or today? So like the man is stepping forward, and the journey of 1,000 miles began in one step. On the same manner, of course, in creating a lesson plan, it begins in one step, and that is thinking. And of course, there is a picture of a bulb that reminds us about thinking. When we think, it represents knowledge. And those metal strips surrounding the bulb are the ideas that come up after thinking. All right. And the 3 boxes with check tells us that there's always the right thing. You've done the right thing if you will start thinking. All right. We will not do a shortcut here in creating a lesson plan. We have to start from the very basic, which is thinking. All right. I know that we've done that in our class, and this is just going to be a reminder or a reinforcement. All right, let's go ahead. What are some steps you take when planning your lesson? All right, so what are the steps when you plan lesson? What are the things that you have to consider? I know that everyone is aware of this. Everyone is able to write a lesson plan. Okay, here, select grammar focus or point to teach. Choose practice activities. Write the lesson plan. Teach the lesson. Reflect on the success of the lesson. Revise the lesson. Maybe we don't do all of this formally, but the information is somewhere in our heads. Now, actually, in our experience, in our years of experience in teaching, we're actually doing all these things. We are just reminded of the sequence so that we can really have a good and comprehensive lesson plan, because the lesson plan is always the blueprint of our topic. I remember one time when my principal told us that if you are not able to prepare a lesson plan for that subject you're teaching, it's good that you're committing a crime. All right, because it's a crime to teach without lesson plan, because that serves as our blueprint that will be guided on the things that we're going to do. And sometimes if we do not have that lesson plan, we tend to jump. We tend to just proceed without having guide. We're lost on the way. And of course, sometimes we're irritated by our students. We're not prepared. We give exams and we're giving some murmurs and gospels and homilies and more. So it's very important that we will have to start it with a right process. Okay, I hope I am understood. Here, the very first step in writing a lesson plan or a communicative lesson plan is identify the grammar point to teach. Of course, it is very impossible that you'll be able to discuss something without a topic. The topic is always the subject matter, and that is what you are going to talk about for the rest of your 60-minute time. All right. Look at the text, reading, listening, or handout, and see what grammar is important for the students or what is new. Now, let us consider that our curriculum guide is very broad and it has a lot of macro skills. So we have to specify which aspect in the subject that we're going to discuss. Is it in the reading? Is it in the listening? Is it in the speaking or writing? We have to specify. We will base it according to the most essential learning competencies. All right, in choosing a subject matter or a grammar point. Another thing also is we have to assess our students. What is the most alarming situations in our class as far as grammar is concerned? Is it the subject-verb agreement? Is it the pronoun antecedent? Is it a tag question? Is it the reported speech, indirect speech, or any other topics in grammar? All right, so we have to use the result of our diagnostic test, our formative test that will tell us what is the pressing problem in our class. Like you find out that, oh my God, my students do not even know how to use the correct number of the verb in the present, in the past tense. So that's the thing that you are going to emphasize and put premium to. All right, so that's the first consideration in choosing a grammar point. All right, I hope that I am understood. And now when you can choose already a certain grammar point to teach, assume that you have chosen one. For example, it's a subject-verb agreement. What's the next thing to do? So it doesn't end up right there. This time is you will have to plan how are you going to present that grammar point to your students? In what way that you will present that? Is it in a form of implicit or explicit? When you say implicit, you're trying to discuss something that is not shown to your students. You're trying to start with something that is not clear. When you say explicit, you're trying to discuss directly what is the topic all about. You're not rounding about the students, but you go ahead to the main business. That's what we call explicit. I know that you've done that, either explicit or implicit. I also did that in my pastoring also when I was teaching. All right. Another thing is you can also use inductive or deductive teaching in the presentation of your grammar point. When you say inductive, you start with introduction with motivation that would lead to the topic. Or deductive, you would start from the general to the specific. All right, you'd narrow from the general to the specific. That is inductive. So either way can be effective as long as you can sustain. So we teachers, when we're going to use any of this mentioned, we have to make it sure that we can substantiate. We should know that we know how to run it through. We should know how to discuss that. All right, you should know how to really do it. So exactly. Or else you can do chants. Sometimes chanting nowadays could be very beneficial because our students love to hear something novel, something that is not traditional, something that is modern, something that is under trend, something that is under fashion. All right, chanting. You know, in my class, I remember before when I was teaching oral communication, I used to have chanting, and I used to remember this chants of Nicki Minaj. It's like bang bang. I used to do that. It's Miss Moscato, is freezing in the battle, snake will trot us, or the swimming in the grotto, winning the lotto, we deep in the powder forest, sure, kid is a good, it's deep in the world, get the right and enter the kid, bet the drag and big babaki, like that. Okay. You know what? After doing it, you would ask to your students, all right, of the chants that you have heard from me, of the rap that you have heard from me, I'd like you to pick out prepositions. And the students will say it in chorus. All right, the prepositions in, on, and at. All right. So you have to control the students because all of them will be answering it in chorus. So you will regulate them. Okay, call it one by one, and then they will say, okay, that can also be good. Chant, if you can do that, that's just a suggestion. You're not forced to do that, all right? Another thing is the meme, because meme is also very good, and because it is going to be in the trend of the generation today for the millennials. You can find it on Facebook. There's so many memes in Facebook that is related to your topic. I remember one time when I was discussing subject-verb agreement to my students, I used to have this meme. I just look at it from Facebook and I try to present it to them on the lesson. It was like this. Today is my graduation. I invite you all to eat my house. My mother cooked my father. We dyed 5 chicken, 3 males and 2 females. And when I presented to them, the people were all laughing. Not because they ridiculed me, they make fun of me, but they're laughing to what they say because they found out something is not correct. And so I asked them, all right, why are you laughing? What seems to be funny here? And so one of the students would say, it's wrong, sir. So they give the correct answer. And that's going to be a good beginning. And later on, you can establish a momentum in order that you can sustain the students. They're engaged into the lessons that you're presenting. It's a really good thing. All right, but if you're creative enough, you can also use the finger puppets. When you see finger puppets, you have to have your fingers and you're going to have dress it like a puppet, and you're going to have a conversation of 2 individuals. You do a lot like that. It requires a lot of dexterity to be able to do that. If you're comfortable with using that, use that, okay? For finger puppets. Now, when you can think already of how to present your grammar point, this time is, when will you present that? You will be thinking of when will you present that, so it refers to time. Is it pre, during, post, or all? When you say pre, that's before the lesson. When you say during, it's during the lesson or middle of the lesson, or post, so after the lesson. Or even you can combine both pre, post, and during. All right, so that's it. And the first step. All right, I hope you are following with me. All right, our participants are following with me. Step number 2, what's the next thing to do when you can already have that topic to discuss to your students? This time is you're going to think of certain activities that you are going to use. Choose the activities. What kinds of activities would help your students? Now, you have to consider it is engaging and informative. When see engaging, the students are involved in the task. The students are doing the job. The students are exercising. The students are performing. And of course, it is informative. When they do that, they are learning also. So engaging and informative. We have to make it sure that the students are engaged. Not that we are talking the entire time. In the entire sessions, will be whole lot talking and the students are just listening. And we notice that some of them are rushing out. Some of them do not pay attention, and some of them are just opening their phones, do something unnecessary stops, or be even annoying. And we are get irritated after saying that. There seems to be a problem in your presentations. That is why our students are not engaged. I am not bragging in my part, but when I have a class, it should be like a concert. I look at my students as if they're watching a show and they're involved in the show. So I should never do it myself alone. All right. And of course, it can be done in your current environment. When you see current environment, make it sure that the things that you want your students to do can exactly be doable in the classroom. For example, if you're assigning them to have a bass sessions or a talk show, and you're requiring them to have a microphone, how could it happen when there's no microphone in your classroom? And if you want them to have a speaker, there's no speaker in the classroom. So it's difficult. They cannot really do exactly what you want them to do because there's no available facilities in the classroom. So it's very important that you have to consider what are those things around that can be used. All right, they can also use materials like indigenous materials, something that are accessible within their immediate environment. All right. Okay, now there are two kinds of practice that we will be using for our students. We can use the controlled, restricted, or guided, and freer, communicative. We see controlled, there is restriction from the teacher. You're trying to give something, an instruction that the students has to do, or else you're trying to provide something, a set of guidelines. That's controlled. For example, if you mean the students to write an essay, you are going to have it in rubrics. You will present a rubric. For example, if it is an objective test, you will have to write the multiple choice. They are restricted to do something. They cannot do anything what they want because they're bounded with certain criteria or rules or mechanics. That's controlled, restricted, or guided practice. I know that we're fond of doing this. And we can also use the freer communicative practice. What is this all about? Like when you are allowing your students to do role playing, that they will create their own script, they will create their own draft, and they're having freedom to choose a situation. That's communicative practice wherein they have more freedoms to express themselves, whatever they want. All of the members in the group will be able to speak. That's communicative practice. Let's have to practice the culture of communicative practice in the classroom. And we will say that our students are learning. We're able to see that our students are improving their grammar, improving their communication skills, and actually they can blow your minds away then. All right? Okay. Next thing to do is here, aside from that, there are also other things. The third, all right, I hope you're following with me. Again, review the super 6 steps for creating a lesson plan, parts of a communicative lesson, lesson demo with adaptation. All right, here now is the third step to write a communicative lesson plan. This is the business that we're waiting for. This is write the lesson plan. All right, who among you here isn't able to write the lesson plan yet? Of course, all of us are able to write lesson plan. Probably in senior high school, they're using the detailed lesson plan. And for the junior high school, probably they're using the DLP or DLL. Either way, it's good as long as we will integrate the grammar into our skill-based lesson. So writing the lesson plan, what are some components of a communicative lesson plan? What are the things that you have to consider in writing your lesson plan? Here now, failing to plan is planning to fail. So it starts from planning. That is why lesson plan is not that easy. It involves a whole lot of thinking. When I write lesson plan, it's not just an hour or two, but it takes time for me to finish that entire lesson plan. It is because when you see planning, it has to involve a lot of things. What are the things that you will do? What are the activities that you will set? What are the formative assessment that you will give? Some more things that you have to consider. And then you will see at the result of your lesson, if the students do not get most of the answers, then there must be problem on the planning. So if that happens, you go back to the first phase, which is the planning, because we're able to spot something is wrong with what you're giving. So it's like GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. When you provided wrong input, it will lead to wrong output. If you will be provided with the right input, it will lead to the right output. So it goes together in parallel in unison. All right. So that's it. Planning is very important. We should not forget that. We will not just undermine planning. Do not just spend 1 hour, 30 minutes. As long as you're doing the right thing, you're able to come up with the right lesson plan, then that's a good planning. That's a product of a good planning anyway. All right. I hope that you enjoy listening. All right. When you write the lesson plan, it has to be with structure. It has the beginning, the middle, and end. It always follows with structure. And the middle of that lesson plan contains two parts of the activities, the control and the communicative practice. So you should not forget that. The assessment, how will we know when the students have succeeded? You also have to put there some assessment tests, because the assessment will provide us an idea of how far the students go, how far do we need to exert for our teaching. Actually, it serves as our purpose. So actually, the formative assessment will play a great role here, because the teachers will be able to find out the strength and the weakness of the discussion, the strategies, the lesson, the topic, and everything about. All right. I would like to show you here a sample of a lesson plan that's taken from the international setting, and I would like you to have this. This is the introductory part of the lesson plan, and we have to find out the entries here. So type of class, middle school. So middle school, that's good as high school in our case in the Philippines. ESL, English second language, English as a foreign language topic. What will you put here is not the grammar point, but the context or situation. When you say context or situation, that is the communicative situation. For example, talking about where we have been, describing a picture. So this is a situation where the students are involved. Then what is the level? 7th grade or grade 7. Okay, and the target grammar item, this is now the grammar point that you highlight, which is the prepositions in, on, and at. Now, of all the topics, why is it in, on, and at? There could be a lot of prepositions there. There could be a lot of topics probably here, but why this? It is because the teacher is trying to say that these prepositions are quite basic, and the students are able to understand of the complex kinds of prepositions when they start with the basic. And sometimes even as teachers, we have hard time understanding how to use in, how to use on, how to use at, in what instance we have to use them. Because at some points we're trying to interchange the use of these 3 basic prepositions. Would you agree with me? Sometimes later on you'll be surprised that on can be used to refer a place. That is why the prepositions just even they are composed of 2-letter word, but they are too crucial if we're not able to do it the right thing. Okay. Now, after the target grammar point, what's the next thing to do is you will state your objective. Of course, we know the objective. Your objective says what learners will be able to do. So exactly, it will tell what the learners will be able to do, to read, to write, or say, or listen by employing the target grammar. So by the end of the lesson, learners will be able to describe a picture provided or of themselves, detailing the date, time, and place in the picture, while accurately using the prepositions in, on, and at. So if you notice here, we have only one objective. So of course, we have to trim down our objectives into something that is doable to our students. We'll not have to lay down as many objectives as we can, and then actually at the end of it, the students do not learn. It has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded. We have to follow the elements or the SMART principle if we're going to craft our learning or lesson objectives. All right. I know that you're good at doing this. Later on, you might be asking to me, why is it just one? When we're asked to have the key knowledge, we have the skills, we have the values, and we have also the attitude. Okay. Anyway, we will try to discuss this later if you will raise that. All right. That's the beginning part of the communicative lesson plan. It has the preliminaries. Now, when you are done with that part, this is now you are going to think about engaging ways you could introduce or present this topic. Now, when you already are certain of the topic to discuss, which is about prepositions in, on, and at, this time, how are you going to present that? That is the most crucial thing, because the introduction is always the crucial part of the lesson, because that is where you make or break the entire lesson, the purpose of the lesson. So it's very important that you would think beyond the box. What are those activities that you will employ that would certainly generate attention and enthusiasm for the students or from the students? Right. Okay. I hope you're still following. All right. Am I too careful? My morning is good. Start presentation. Now, when you start presenting, how are you going to do that? So it could either be telling a story, Our students nowadays love to hear stories, especially the graders, especially the lower grades, or even grade 7, or even grade 8, 9, and 10 still love stories, right? Now, make it sure that when you use story, it has to be related to the topic you're trying to discuss then. It should never be a story of your adventure 10 years ago when you were in Manila. It's not all about the stories that you had. It's all about something that is remarkable, something that is worth knowing. All right? So that's it. Another thing is using realia. You see, using realia is you're trying to present the students the concrete object of something. It's not that abstract. You will present the real object. For example, what am I holding? It's makeup. What is this for? Okay, they're saying an actual thing because they are prone to learning if they're actually seeing objects. Okay, using realia. Or describing a scene. How are you going to do that? You perhaps have to present to your students picture of couple, picture of lovers, and there must be a tone and a mood of the picture. I want you to describe what is this in this picture. What are these people doing in the picture, and how would you describe the atmosphere in this picture? What these people are doing? And the students will say, they are in love with each other because their eyes are saying that there are hearts coming out from their eyes, right? You would say another picture. What is the feeling of these two individuals? A picture of a man holding his roses, proposing to a girl, right? That. How do you feel? How do you think that this man is feeling upon presenting this or upon giving this flower to the girl? And then the people would say, the man must be in love. And what do you think is the feeling of the girl? The girl must be inspired. The girl must be shocked. All right. You know, or else you present a video clip, just a thriller of a certain movie, and you're going to ask to the students, how do you think these people feel in this movie clip? All right. And the students will have to answer in chorus. You know that because they're interested to the thing that you're trying to present. So see, so if you have started that one, well, it's good to be a turning point of your lesson. Or else listening to a text, like you would like to have to present to your students. It's like a video or an audio recording of a certain news or broadcast. And then later on, they will be asked with question, what is the news all about? Where did it happen? How did it happen? Who are the characters involved? When is it the time that it happened? All right. So they're engaged because it's something not traditional. You're presenting to them a menu that is not always common on the table, but you're presenting something that is novel, something that is trending. All right. Next, a listening that has a text with it. There is also a listening text. I mean, there is also a recording video or audio, and there's also a text. The students will have to follow what is there on the audio recording. Or you can have a combination of both. You can let your students read a dialogue. There will be turn taking of them. One is going to read a rule, the other one has to read a rule, and then there's going to be a switching of rules later. So the students are involved in the communicative situations. So this is a good start of your presentations. And we know that you can go along with it in a good way. Okay. There are so many options. We are just given some here, but there are so many options. In fact, there are some of these are not found when I was teaching. Like I give a message relay, I give role play, for example, something that is not here. You can also use that as long as you think that the students are engaged. You always have to consider your learners when you think of an engaging activities to have. All right. Okay. Now, in your beginning stage of your communicative lesson plan, here's what's going to happen. So in the stage here in the presentation, how will you engage learners here or arouse their interest on what is to follow? How will you introduce the target grammar item? How will you situate it, contextualize it? What examples will you give? How can you make sure that the examples are effective, memorable, and meaningful? How will you check learners' understanding? So it comes with a series of questions. These are your guide questions so that your activity will be in line with this. So on the other side, we have the time, that's 5 to 10 minutes. So when you present, you have to give a time allocation, or else you will not be able to follow your lesson plan, the time allocation of your lesson plan, which is 60 minutes duration. So you have to be strict in giving allocation each activity that you'll provide. Now, on the other side, you have here activity. So the activity that you will have will guide you how to present your activity, the engaging activity that you have. First, present a family photo, vacation photo. Ask the students to identify or guess where the photo was taken. Try to have students' answers move from general to more specific. Okay, for example, you will present a picture to the students and you would ask, where do you think this picture takes place? Who are these people in the picture? And as you ask questions, you go down to the specific. Okay, this is from USA. Which part of the USA? And then you go down to the very specific. All right. Then students can read or listen to the Voice of America, everyday grammar text on in, at, on, and take notes. You can also present video. After that, you can also present to the video of the Voice of America wherein you highlight the use of the preposition. Then discuss the two charts, move from general to specific to write. So you think of an activity that can be doable within the range of 5 to 10 minutes because that is your time allocation. All right, that is the beginning stage. We are not yet up to the main event. All right, so I hope it's clear. Let's proceed. What are some activities you could do for guided practice? All right, now, since after the beginning, you will now start to write the controlled and communicative practice. So you are going to think of activities here. So I suppose to have you write it on the chat box, but I think it will take us time. You know, we started very late. So we will just have to directly proceed. What are the activities that you can include in the guided practice? Here are some. Story chain. We see story chain. You're trying to provide a story map to your students. You're going to give them the series of plots, and then they're going to connect the plots. You probably can use the fishbone technique in which you are going to assign a student to say something at the first beginning of the story, then goes on and on until the story is ended. Okay, you can do that. Or drills or chants. Like what I said, if you can sustain, you do chanting if you can, or let the students do the just chants. All right, there's so many ways how to do that in a more engaging and lively way. Or the dictogloss. When you see dictogloss, you're trying to present a paragraph to your students and they will listen and they are instructed to jot down everything, important points, the keywords, the most important terms. And right after that, they are going to discuss what they've heard in their own version with the use of the keywords that they listen to. I would like to highlight the difference between dictogloss and dictation. When you see dictation, the student's going to write everything verbatim. But here in the dictogloss, the students is just instructed to write what is the most important point of the paragraph. The keywords, the base words. Okay, that's the dictogloss. In my part, I never did that dictogloss. I'm not so familiar with this, but hopefully I can do that soon if I'm going to teach. In college, I never did it also. I've never done it also. Okay, you can also do guessing games. When you see guessing games, you will provide puzzles to your students in a crossword puzzle probably. You can also give them a certain riddle or do something, an anagram. Are you familiar with anagram? The anagram is just like that. You are going to give something, a phrase or a catchy line, and the student is going to guess. For example, reading. And in the word reading, you're going to put a parallel lines, each letter of the word reading. And you will ask the students, what phrase will be formed if you're going to put a parallel lines, each letter of the word reading? And the students will have hard time thinking. And later on, they would say, reading between the lines. Okay, that's guessing game. That could be very funny. I tried that. I tried to research a lot of anagrams, and I find it very exciting. I find my students were able to get engaged. Okay. Then also close activities. You can also employ close activities in which you will provide a paragraph to your students in which there will be missing pieces, there will be missing lines, and then they're going to supply the missing line. They're covered with a meta strip, for example, or they're covered with something, and then they will be asked to say something. What is the word missing in that paragraph? And the students will have to say a lot of guesses, a lot of answers. Some of them are correct and some are wrong. All right, close activities. Or else you can do also the singing bee. Right, I did that. One time I did that in my class. It took a lot of preparation, but it is worth it. I tried to have the line of the song. I presented the line of the song, and the students are going to guess what's going to be the next sentence after this. I tried to sing. I tried to sing the line. I'd never mind if that singing is good. What I'm aftering for is that I presented it in that way because I found out that I need to do something more novel. Okay, so it could be like that. There's so many things that you can do. There's so many options. There are just some of the list, but still you can have more options if you wish. There are a lot of options that you can have. You try to research some options. All right, those are guided practice activities. All right, now in the restricted guided control practice, you are allotting here 10 to 15 minutes. How will you help learners focus on the target grammar item? Is the practice activity contextualized? You have to consider also that the activity that you will have to give to them will have to be fit on their setting. to their locality. You have to consider the contextualization, the localization, and indigenizations in that case. How will learners get feedback on their accuracy? How are you going to provide feedback? That is then that the correction techniques will come. You will apply the correction techniques in giving feedback to your students in such a way that you are encouraging or promoting the culture of learning and engagement in the classroom, not a culture of exploitations and hostility in the classroom. All right. So we make it sure that everyone is treated good. And then, of course, the activities here on the controlled practice. The student practice asking each other questions about where they are right now using model. Teachers answers questions and gives corrections to pairs. Shares answers in a large group, write correct answers on the board. All right, so the students are now engaged into the control activity and you'll provide feedback as to accuracy here. In my case, I used to let the students perform before I give corrections. I just do not interrupt, because tendency is that if you will interrupt them while they are just delivering on the course of their presentations, they might be lost on their lines. They might be intimidated. So I just give my correction at the end of the lesson, at the end of the control practice. I will highlight the correct and the wrong. I will give my comment, the positive and the negative. When we give comment to our students, it doesn't need to be all negative. Although you see in reality that the work is really all negative, but actually we have to praise our student. We have to appreciate the efforts of our students. You have to use the sandwich method. What is the sandwich method is, if you will provide corrections to your students, do it in a sandwich method. For example, you give a certain comment that is positive. Later on, you shift to negative. Your presentation is good, but however, it needs the voice. It needs a well-modulated voice. Okay, so the students are welcoming to accept the corrections because you're trying to appreciate also. Do not say that your entire work is bad. You better have to stop that. The students will no longer participate in the next meeting and you will be again irritated. Okay, that's the thing. I hope. What are some activities you could do for communicative practice? That is for control. This time is for communicative practice. Again, communicative practice is you're trying to give freedom to the students to participate by giving them the chance to write their own, by exposing them to explore their creativity. All right. For examples here. Interviews. In the interviews, the students are given topics and then they are going to create their own setting, wherein one of them would serve as the host, the two others or perhaps other members would serve as the interviewees, while the others could be the advertisement. Yeah, interviews. This is one of the very common methods of presentations in the communicative activities, the interviews. Or jigsaw. We see jigsaw, you're trying to give puzzle to your students. Each of the students provided a certain diagram or a certain clip, a certain piece, and then all of them will have to share to create with a meaningful object. For example, you're going to cut the heart into pieces and you provide each students with a piece, and then they are going to work in group just to come up with what is the object form if you're going to combine all of these pictures, all of this clip, all of these pieces. And you know what? The students will have to be involved because all of them will have to be in a group and share each other's piece just to come up with what is the illustration all about. And the students will feel that they are part of the missing piece. They could feel that they are part of the group. They feel that they are involved. It's not that you isolate the students. So the teamwork will be enhanced here. The cooperative learning will be enhanced. The group activity will be enhanced. So that is jigsaw. I did that also in my part, but it was a different way. For example, I just provided a lot of cutouts. Then I just provided it on their seats. And then the students is going to be asked, I'd like you to stand up. I'd like you to find something here on your seat, at the bottom of your seat or under your seat. You can find something, a piece of paper. And then they hold it. When they hold it, I'd like you to group with each other. I'd like you to form an object to really have this object. And what is this object will be formed after all. Okay, that can be a good thing. Or role play. One of the most common methods also for communicative activities is role play, wherein you're going to assign them a certain activity where they're going to create a setting and they're going to have role playing. They will have to dialogue. We have the dialogue, we have the lines, we have the script. Or debates. So if you think what is the most topic this time, most controversial topic that you love to have debate for your students, you can also have that debate. It's a good thing for debate because the students will be encouraged to speak. Then you're going to have moderators to have a smooth sailing of the debate. Or easy writing, wherein you will assign topics to the students to write, and then they're going to write on their own. There's no wrong answer here. So easy writing. Then from the easy writing, you're able to spot the mistakes or errors of the students as far as grammar is concerned, right? When you let them write essay, then that everything will be laid down. All of the mistakes will be there. Then the presentations, they perhaps have to present a dance number. They have to present a spoken poetry. They might be presenting a kind of presentation suggestion, something like that. Conversations. So they will be just talking merely with each other, with a topic that they discuss with each other, that is also in line with what you are letting them to do. That is still in line with the preposition. Remember that when you create communicative activities, it should align always to the topic. It should never goes out. Okay? So here, in the communicative practice, you will be guided with the questions. How will you structure a safe environment for experimentation? How will learners employ the target structure to engage in meaningful communication? Okay, so these questions will guide you. How are you going to run through your communicative practice? So students present their photo using the model as a guide. The students present first to small groups, then volunteers share in large group. Students ask each other follow-up questions about the pictures. So in this kind, the students are now engaged. The students are involved in the activity on their own. And then the teacher will come in to give feedback regarding the presentations. You will not be here just to spot mistakes when we are giving communicative practice, so that there is no distraction of the flow of the communication among students. We will not be always looking for the mistakes, although mistakes are inevitable, but we have to consider also that they're doing the right. There are also good things that they do, so we have to appreciate. Okay, now we're almost done. At the end of your lesson plan, how will you do that? What is the closure? There's always closure in everything. You know what? In our life, we need closure. If there's somebody else who hurts us, we need closure just to end the business, just to end the story. All right? How will you check if learners can use the target structure to communicate their own ideas? How will you use them for feedback? Okay. Teacher lesson to presentations for accuracy but does not interrupt. Teacher reviews the target language after the presentation, check comprehension. So in short, you are there to assess, you are there to give follow-up. You're not there to destroy the show. Okay, that's the ending. So in the ending, there's always what we call resolution, like a story. The story will not end without the villain die, or else there must be something other way. Okay, so that's the lesson ending. That's 5 to 10 minutes. All right. How would you close this lesson? Now, right after doing that from the beginning, from the middle, then you are now in the ending. What is your parting lines? How are you going to end it formally? So, of course, you started it good. You have to end it good. So the ending could be in a form of a proverb, in a form of a video, or a very striking statement, or it could be a quote from a famous person. You can do any way. You can have it in any way. So that's the ending. Do not leave hanging. All right. So this time, I'd like to highlight the presentation of the communicative lesson plan. When you are going to run that lesson plan that you had seen earlier, so this is the presentation part. Where's Samantha? You would ask the students, where's Samantha? And then you let the students describe the pictures they see there in the illustration. What country? The students would say, it's in the Philippines. So you start out from the general. It's in the Philippines. Why is it Philippines? Because what island is it? In Bohol. And Bohol is in the Philippines. So this is certain scenario that this is really in the Philippines. There are chocolate hills. There's no other places actually that have it just in the Philippines, only in the Philippines. What monument? It's chocolate hills. What time of the day? It's morning. Why morning? Because the clouds are not separated from each other. There's a clouds there. So it must be morning, because if it is in the afternoon, probably it's something like there is a blue sky here. Or perhaps you could say it's rainy day. It's rainy day because there are clouds and there might be a bad weather in Bohol. You can say that one. So as long as the students will be directed to what is really the real situation. Okay, and sometimes if the students are going out from the context, we are so irritated. And sometimes really there are students, even if the picture is very clear, the student just do not know even how to say it. Okay, that's really normal. What country? I'm in the Philippines, so the preposition now is emphasized in the Philippines. Why in? Because Philippines refers to a broad country. It refers to the general place. That is why in is for that. What island? I'm on Bohol Island. This is what I said earlier, that you might be surprised with on, that it can be used to refer to a place, Bohol. Why? Because Bohol is a specific place. And to mean specific, we have to use the preposition on. Sometimes we get the students confused. What is really in and on? They're all about places. Yes, they are all about places, but they're distinct because the other is general, the other is specific to the place, which is in Bohol. So on Bohol. Okay. Right. I think this is also my first time to learn that Bohol is actually on Bohol instead of in Bohol. I'm sure that everyone does. What monument? I'm at the Chocolate Hills Monument. Not that I'm in the Chocolate Hills. At, because it refers to a monument, it refers to a concrete place, it refers to a scenario, it refers to a concrete area or something, a scene, a spot, like that. What monument? What time of day? It was in the afternoon. Okay, it was in the afternoon. So there is a preposition in that is highlighted here. This photo was taken on Valentine's Day. All right, Valentine's Day. So look at Valentine's Day. It's a holiday. You have to use on. You will use on for holiday because Valentine's Day is a holiday. Why is it Valentine's Day? Valentine's Day. It's because the couples are there. They celebrate Valentine's Day. Why not Christmas? Because it doesn't show about Christmas. There's nothing about Christmas there in the picture. So they can really say a lot of holidays as long as they will use the right preposition on. They can even say it's Halloween. Why Halloween? Because the couple had their vacations in Bohol during Halloween. Okay, you can also do like that. All right. You can also have the students watch The Voice of America, learning English. So we will use a listening, integrating skills. Students can listen and take notes. Students can read along with the script, free resources. So A Voice of America is a video that explains about the use of the preposition in, on, and at. So here, for example, in the presentation too, this time you're going to discuss to the students. So after presenting the picture, you are now going to narrow your discussion into the concept. What are these prepositions for? In what instance that we have to use each of the prepositions? Like in, you will use in parts of days, in the afternoon, in June, in April, years, months, centuries. So in 1991, in 2023, in 2021, that's in. How about on holidays? On Valentine's Day, on Christmas Day, give love on Christmas Day, of course. Days of the month, on the 4th of July, dates on April 15, 2021, on April 15. If there is day and there's the month and the date, it's on. At is holidays without day, at Easter's Day, holidays without day at noon, midnight, at 6 o'clock, 10 a.m. Holidays without day. So many say holidays without day, it's something like Easter. There is no day, without a day, New Year's Day, because New Year's Day would happen in any day of the week. So it depending on where does it fall. All right. So prepositions. Okay. You can also use in that refers to neighborhoods in Chinatown, in Washington, in the Philippines. So in is for general, country, general place. On Pennsylvania Avenue, on islands, on Bohol. So Bohol is an island. That is why we have to say on Bohol, because Bohol is part of the Philippines. It's not general. Okay. At refers to address at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Specific at Maraclara Street, corner Remulador Street, or like that. At points. So at 1 o'clock, at certain degree, for example, you use at. So if you look at this one, the students will be able to know what are specific instances that they can use in, on, and at. And later on, they will not be able to interchangeably use them because they're aware of certain contexts when to use this. All right. So guided practice, please ask your partner questions. moving from general to specific to find out exactly where they are. What country are you in? I'm in the Philippines. So guided practice because you are now trying to emphasize in. What country are you in? What city are you in? I'm in Manila. What street are you on? I'm on Rojas Boulevard. Okay. You see on because Rojas Boulevard is specific. There is no 1600, 1300 Rojas Boulevard Street. That's where you use at. So here you will have to use on. Okay. Where are you at on X Street? I'm at my home. Where are you in your home? I'm in my office. You cannot say I'm at my office. In my office because that's exactly the place. Where are you in your office? I'm at my desk. So there's a certain part of your office where you are. Okay. So these are how to use the prepositions in, on, and at. They're sometimes very confusing, but we have to find the cues in order that we will not be confused. Right? Adapt guided practice. So use breakout rooms for put students in small groups. Hybrid, students interview each other via chat, messenger, or voice recording. Send students the handout and the interview a partner or parent or sibling. So you can also use this alternative for guided practice. If this is not doable, then you can also use the other way. So for now, we probably can use the group chat, the internet, the online because of the pandemic. So you can use this one. For the communicative practice, where am I? In this photo, I'm in the Philippines. More specifically, I'm on Bohol Island. One of the most famous places in Bohol Island is in the Chocolate Hills. We're at the Chocolate Hills in this picture. It was taken on February 14 on Valentine's Day at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. As you can see, I'm at the top of the Chocolate Hills monument with my husband, son, and daughter. I'm at the top. This is a communicative practice because you're letting the students read it on their own and you're going to let them realize that it's really how to use the prepositions. Okay. So you can also use other methods to practice the students for communicative practice. You can also use methods. In this time of the pandemic, so probably we can do online if we can, hybrid. We can also do a different creative way. Paper-based, students could draw a picture and describe. Now, in short, in this guided practice, the students could do a lot of things that is doable on their part. We will not exert too much pressure to our students that they will unable to do something because it's difficult. We have to guide them that something is doable so that their interest can be sustained. All right. Lesson ending. How will you know your lesson was successful? So if I ask you, how will you know the lesson is successful? Of course, when there is good result of the students, through the MPS of the students, through the responses of the students. Even if there might be some of them who got low score, but majority of them got the MPS of 75 or up. That's where you say that there is what we call success in your lesson. Or when there is a participation, the students are engaged, the students are involved in the activity, then there is success of the lesson. It's not based only on the result, but it is also in the proceeding. It's also how you do it. How do you check if learners can use the target structure to communicate their own ideas? So how will you check that? When they practice it on their own and they use a certain kind of prepositions correctly, then you will say, wow, it's great that the students are able to know exactly what I teach. It's a good thing on your part. You ended your lesson with a blast, all right? How will you give them feedback? Of course, you go back the Super 6. When you give feedback, you always have to consider the Super 6, the implicit and the explicit, something that will work for the students and something that will encourage the students to participate on the next time. Not that when you give feedback, the students next time will be silent, will be in silent mode because they are afraid to speak because they are afraid to get mistakes. You know what? In this CLT, we are not trying to promote mistakes from our students, but we're trying to promote the culture of likeness, the culture of likelihood to participate. Because the lesson will be nothing without the students to participate. That even if they commit mistake, it's just okay to commit mistakes because you're trying to let them learn how to correct that on their own. Okay, it's not that everything will be perfect. How will you elicit feedback from them? So use the elicitations when you elicit feedback from them in a more humane way, in a more approachable way, something that is friendly. I understand that there are so many approaches when we give feedback or when we ask feedback from our students. In this part, we will have to be a little calm, a little friendly. Sometimes if we are so strict, we are an idealistic teacher perhaps, but we need to adjust ourselves in a way that our students are enjoying the freedom to express themselves. All right? Because what is the use of the lesson when the students do not participate then? Okay. Do you feel more comfortable with using in, on, and at as a preposition of time and place? All right. You will ask the students through pool or pool. Yes, I feel more comfortable. I understand better, but still need to practice more. This was tricky. I need to practice more. This time, you will generate so many responses from the students. They'll be telling you a lot of answers. Perhaps some of them will be frustrating on your part, but then that is part of our learning. So when the students find it difficult, there's something that you can do. The next that you'll improve your teaching, you'll improve your strategies so that the students will be able to catch up, especially those, shall I say, mentally challenged learners. I'm not saying dull learners, but mentally challenged learners. Example, feedback pool. Do you like these kinds of activities where you get to share and talk about photos from your life? Yes, let's do more of this. You know what? I remember one time when my students say, sir, I hope we can do it again. I hope next time we'll have that kind of activity. Okay. It's because they're aftering for that. And before you come to the class, they're always excited to your presence because they know something is given that you will be excited. All right. So it was fine. Now let's just stick to the textbook. All right. So you cannot please everyone. So actually, you just have to get their feeling, their sentiments, their part, because that's where you know exactly where to butt in. Okay, let's review the first 4 steps. The grammar point, act, write, teach. Okay, there should be the grammar point. Do not forget that. There should be act. You have to write the lesson plan well with the right procedure, with the right components, and teach. We have to teach it well. You deliver it well. That is why we are the model of the language. We have to deliver it in a way that the students will be influenced to speak, and they love to listen from you. They love to learn from you. You know what? When you can find your students improve even a little from the start, well, it's good. It's a consolation on our part. It's an achievement. Even if we will not be awarded most outstanding teachers, but then that success itself is considered to be our real success. Remember, got grammar point, act, write, teach. Got it. Okay. So when you are going to write the lesson plan or communicative lesson plan, you have to be reminded with GAT. That's grammar point, act, write, teach. All right, here we go. Steps to take when planning a communicative lesson plan. Select grammar focus or point to teach. Again, we have to go back. Selecting the grammar focus, choose practice activities, write the lesson plan, teach the lesson, reflect on the success of the lesson, revise the lesson. Where exactly that you have to reflect? This is on the result. This is on the result of the formative assessment, wherein you try to see that there's a need for you to revise the lesson because the students may find it difficult. Do not stick the lesson to your level. We will not equate ourselves to our students because the students have different level of understanding than us. So we have to consider that we are not the same. We have to trim down our activity that's suited to our students, but we will not make it too easy, because you know if that is too easy, that has nothing to do with the lesson objective. So revise the lesson, then teach the revised lesson. When you revise the lesson, do not just revise, but you have to teach it on the next time, probably during the remedial class, or there's time for the next meeting, you can do that. All right. Okay. Review part 1. Communicative lesson planning is reflective. Why reflective? Because you are going to reflect what is something to be wrong, what's something to be right. Communicative lessons have a beginning, middle, and end. It always has structure. In communicative lessons, students spend most of the time communicating. That is why in the CLT, we're exposed the students to communicate, not only in the oral communications, but so with written communication. Because through communications, they're able to practice what they have. We're wondering, why is it our students nowadays could not speak in English? Why is it some of our students, even grade 10 students, could hardly speak the language? It's because of the practice. At home, they are not used to practice the language, and in school, they are not used to practice that. Now, if they are not able to practice it at home, the school is the perfect avenue for them to practice what they miss out, right? It's because the practice always gives us perfect. Good practice makes perfect. All right? Because when they apply the language, they will eventually learn it on their own. And you're unmindful that they're actually improving. All right. I remember myself, I consider myself one of the best examples for this because I remember myself many years ago, I used to be having hard time in speaking. I do not know really how to speak. I was not that fluent. It's difficult for me to start a sentence. When I answer the teacher's questions, I have to mix it with other language. I have to code switch. It is because we're not used to practice. But look at these students, even younger individuals, even young child, they speak so fluently with each other playing. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of times kids who are playing with each other and they talk as if using the real accent of the English speakers. It is because they are used to speak. Their parents are actually telling them how to speak. All right. So we have to let the students practice the language. Of course, we have to start it on our own. Okay, it's a challenge. It's okay to use other sources like Boys America if your textbook doesn't have explicit grammar instruction. So we have to be resourceful enough in terms of materials, but it's something that we can use to supplement our lesson. It is something that we can provide for our students to learn. Yes, we have to be flexible or we have to be resourceful. Try something new, reflect and revise. We should not settle to what has been practiced for a long time. We have to innovate ourselves. For example, if you've been in the industry for 20 or 15 years, do not remember 1 year ago because our students nowadays are different. When they are different, we have to use a different approach that would suit to their ability, something that makes them interested. Because, you know, sometimes our students are exposed to gadgets, exposed to technology, and they are fan of those things. So when we try to give them something traditional, they do not value it, do not appreciate that. So try something new. We have to be open. We have to get out from our comfort zone. We have to embrace something new. Okay, because by doing so, we're able to see something, a good effect. And that's going to be going back to ourselves. It's a boomerang. When we see something is working well, congratulate yourselves because you've done a great job. Okay, options, options, options. If one doesn't work, do not cry. You have to take another one. You have to look for another choice that seems to be working. And then something that will provide justice to what you're doing. All right. I know that all of our teachers are giving so much efforts in everything they do, especially in the pandemic. But let us stop thinking and innovating ourselves just to come up with what is the best for our students. Because at the end of the day, we will have to end ourselves fulfilled. Maybe our salary will not be increasing right now. We have our position doesn't change, but the thing that we're getting from our students, the comfort that we're getting from our students is going to be more than any monetary returns can ever give, right? Do you agree with me? All right. I'm sure that you did. You just cannot speak because you're all muted. All right. So lesson planning templates, of course, here what you're going to do. I'd like you to take a screenshot of this one so that you'll be guided in your working of your own template. And I hope that you can do that in your original way. Please do not follow the instruction here. Do not follow what is given here about preposition. If that is in, on, and at, try to use other prepositions. Do not copy and paste everything here. I know that you're good enough. Or else you can think of another topic in grammar that is really very difficult for our students and you wish to have it discussed to your students in your class. Okay, not just this. When you see grammar, there are a lot of things. It's not only about the prepositions, but everything. All right, so this is it, the template in the presentation. This is going to be your guide. How are you going to present the grammar point in a way that is engaging to your students? Of course, involve the controlled and communicative practice. All right, and then you have to use the ending. There should be an ending. And everything should not be hanging for the students. Like they exactly know that the lesson is ending and then it's going to end it well. It starts good, it has to end good. Okay. I'm sure that you are now ready to partake for the assignment. So later on, I'll be entertaining questions from you. And I hope that everything is well understood. So create a communicative grammar lesson using the steps we discussed in this module and the template. You can adapt the lesson we work on or pick your own grammar point and content. Follow directions on Facebook for submission. So I'll be providing you ways how to submit your output here on the link. All right. So here are the references of the slides. I'd like to thank everyone for watching and for listening and for taking part of this session. And I hope that you're learning from me. And I hope that if you have questions, we will be able to answer that during the question and answer segment. I would rather say thank you, everyone. Please be safe with everybody and God bless. To God be the glory. Okay, see you this afternoon. Okay, I'm done, ma'am. Can I have this back to our moderator? Back to you, Sir Ronello and Mama Lu.
Yes, Sir Paul. Thank you very much, Sir Paul, for that very comprehensive, very substantial presentation on session 5. Um, we will have our Q&A session, Sir Paul. Let me just maybe we need to have a 10-minute break, sir, and then we will just resume after 10 minutes.
Okay, no problem, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you can take your snacks while you are enjoying you're preparing your questions. I hope that I will not be dying with your questions. I hope that the questions will be answerable. We'll not have to put a dead air in this because it's going to be a good, lively virtual interaction. You might be wondering if you've encountered such a very loquacious person in the world. I will not stop talking unless the time permits. I like the background of Mamalo because it's good, it's friendly, it's nature friendly, ma'am. I think it's in the beach. It's where in my place where I'm actually teaching, and it's actually in my place in Kabilao. I remember my place. How I wish I could do that. I do not know how to put background on my screen. I just have to learn it later. All right. So our participants are busy crafting their questions. I'm also busy pondering how to answer that, how I wish. I hope so that I could answer that. So Mama Lu is muted here. That is why I just received a smile from Mama Lu, but it tells a lot of stories, ma'am. Your smile is telling a lot of stories, hundreds of stories to say. Okay, thank you so much, Sir Ronelo, also for the compliment. I hope I did it. I did not know if I did it.
Okay,
I'm not your...
congratulations.
Sige, ma'am.
Congratulations, Sir Paul. What a superb presentation. Okay, so this time I will start reading the comments from the chat box. Okay, thank you, Sir Paul. Thank you so much, Sir Paul. More power to you. God bless from Mom Nimisha M. Libranza.
My advisor,
Thank you,
of
Paul,
course.
from Sir or Mom Feby.
She was
Thank you,
she was my
Paul,
advisor during
from
my high school, ma'am. Ma'am Libranza. Shout out to Ma'am Libranza.
wow. I know Mom Libranza is proud of you. Okay. Yes, Ma'am. Ma'am Libranza. Okay. Anything you can say to your former student, ma'am? And okay.
That was a wonderful presentation for me. I was so amazed.
It was coming from you, ma'am. I remember your words before. You own them. I just borrowed them from you.
Oh. Okay. Good luck there.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Libranza. Okay, some more questions. Okay, thank you so much, Sir Paul, for sharing from Ma'am Dolores Mikabani. Okay, so you may start posting your questions to Sir Paul. Thank you so much to Paul from Marjorie Danila. Hi, Ma'am Marjorie. My classmate college, Ma'am March. Thank you. How about, okay, so the words joining here, Sir Paul. Okay, I want, if you have some questions, please don't hesitate to post it in the chat. Super competent speaker. Saludo ako sa iyo, sir. Wow. Thank you, sir, from Ma'am Mirawane Sumagang.
Okay, how about question? I would love to hear questions because that's then that we would learn from the questions. And then probably there's something that I missed out in the part of the discussion that I gave, probably. So can I have questions from our audience? Let's make this session interactive by posting your questions, and do not be shy because I will try. The three of us, Mamalo and Sir Ronello, will be answering those questions that you will raise, especially in the preparation of the communicative lesson plan. Or if not on the presentation, or if not on the preparation, but on the presentation of the lesson plan. All right? Because later on, you're going to upload your output through your folder, and you might not be aware of how to do that. So it's good that you will be asking questions while we're still around, because later on, I'll be going away because I will be having my second dose of vaccine, and I cannot attend in the afternoon. Okay, so any questions from our audience? Anything you would like to ask? Anything that you'd like to clarify?
Okay.
Something that you'd like to share?
Okay, what a fabulous presentation, Sir Paul. Thank you so much.
Someone is posting a question, Ma'am Lot, here. Ma'am Justine
Okay.
Arizola. Hello, sir. You are so
Okay.
eloquent and shows mastery in your topic. You are young and brilliant. Sana all. How to be you po? Here are my questions, Sir Paul. Number one, how would you handle students who are reluctant to speak and communicate?
Maybe due to inadequate vocabulary, right? There's continuation, sir.
Yes, sir. Then how would you ensure accuracy and precise communicative lesson plan to avoid inconsistencies and errors and not time consuming? Thank you, sir.
All right. So still you have two questions raised here. So I will just try to answer the first. So I will be answering later the second. How would you handle students who are reluctant to speak and communicate, maybe due to inadequate vocabulary? So that's true because it happens in our classrooms where we encounter students who really love to speak, but only they have lack of vocabularies. They do not exactly know the terms to use when speaking. So in my part, I will just have to welcome them answering no matter what, even if it's crooked, even if it's not so good, because from there, they exactly know what to improve or how to improve that.
Yeah.
Because by constant practice, they will be able to improve themselves in speaking. But if you lift them out because you know that they cannot speak, you are not even trying to generate from them. Therefore, there's no way for them to learn if they will settle to that fact that they cannot do anything with that. So we will just have to always welcome them to participate in the lessons and accept something what they say. And if there's error in it, we are there to correct that. We're not there to shame them, but we are there to guide them on the way so that they will learn. Am I able to do
Yes,
it? Yes, sir.
yes, I agree with Sir Paul. Reluctance, it's normal. We all know, even we teachers, English teachers, run out of words. It's normal. So again, Sir Paul stressed that we just acknowledge them, whatever their responses are, and it's all up to us to respond or give corrections to them using the methods that we learned in the previous session. We have the implicit
Correction techniques.
correction technique and also the explicit. It depends on us. Again, it's just purely accepting what our students are, especially their level when it comes to English.
We'll have to, in my case, actually, I experienced that because we are in a students in a group where it's not homogeneous. we have a mix of students, good and average students, low learners. So we will just have to encourage them to speak by just making it lively. The
Yes.
discussion might not be restrictive, and we will just welcome anything that they would say, and we will acknowledge them to, okay, it's okay to commit mistakes
Yes.
because this is a key to learning.
Also, Sir
Like
Paul,
that.
the teachers' aura, overall aura, also affects the
Mhm.
students.
Yes,
Because
sir.
if they feel like, oh, my teacher is kind of strict, or my teacher is kind of friendly, that affects
Mhm.
also their attitude to speak up and express what they're feeling in the classroom.
We have to show
Okay.
positive attitude when we give.
Yes, yes, sir.
We have to also show ourselves we are the perfect visual aid to our
Mm.
students.
Okay,
Okay,
Thanks a
there is
Sir
lot.
second
Paul.
question, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
Sir
ma'am.
Renilo, here's a question from Ma'am Fabi. What are the limitations of communicative language teaching, sir?
Okay. What again? What is the limitations
What
of
are
communicative
the
language?
limitations of communicative language teaching?
Okay. When you say limitation, it has to be broad because it includes probably you're referring to time, the vocabulary, the setup, the type of
Yes.
students. When you say limitation, we are surrounded by limitations, but
The
from that
factors that affect.
limitations, the factors that affect, but we will consider them as our SWOT, the strength,
Mm.
weakness, opportunities, and threats. We will not leave the fact that since they exist, we have nothing to do with that. If there's limitation, that's a challenge for us to do something, an alternative to find out something that we can improve, what is something that we are lack of. If it is all about technicalities, so we will have to work with people,
Yeah.
experts, to
Mm.
help us. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
so
limitations are always there. It's all up to us again to address all those limitations. We're all teachers. We are designed to find solutions to our own problems for our
Mhm.
students. Sir Paul, there's still question number two, sir.
Mhm.
How would you ensure accuracy and precise communicative lesson plan to avoid inconsistencies and errors and not time consuming?
So that is why we have to go back to planning, because that's the crucial part in the preparation of the lesson plan. So we will make it accurate by just checking it out. We will not just have it one glance, but if possible, we'll have to filter everything what we write, and we have to
Yeah.
also dry run everything what we do.
Mm.
You have to think it over and over again. If this is doable, it does suit to our students. Is it not too bad? Is it not too difficult for our students? We have to really
Yes.
think beyond the box when we prepare something. And if errors happen on the way, at least it's minimal because you are really
Uh,
thoroughly doing it. Mm-mm. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it boils down to planning. Sir Paul mentioned a while ago that according to his principal, well, who
Mm-mm.
is also my friend, a very close friend of mine, also my idol, Sir
Mm-mm.
Paul mentioned that going to the classroom unprepared without a lesson plan is a crime.
Mm-mm.
I really like that, Sir Paul.
Mm-mm.
There's a message, Sir Paul, coming from Maria Gemma. What a fabulous presentation, Sir Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are there questions,
okay,
Ma'am Lot?
so yes, okay. From Ma'am Cecilia Padonia, Sir Paul, I would just like to be clarified, sir. Is this is in the previous slide. Is it 4 p.m. in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Is it redundant to say p.m. and in the afternoon? Is
Okay,
it
actually, the
redundant to say
example,
p.m. and in the afternoon?
no, that's just for the emphasis of the
Mm.
example to highlight the use of the preposition. But actually, it doesn't all about redundancy, but we just have to write it. The slide just tells it just to emphasize the use of the preposition in the afternoon. Of course, we will say in the afternoon. That is why we use that 4 p.m. because it at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, we are writing that to pay emphasis to the preposition. But on the real construction, when you use that in the context, we have to avoid that because it's redundant. We have to use only one. It's 4 p.m. or either afternoon.
Okay,
Okay.
there's another question, Sir Paul, coming from a participant coming from Pagnituan National High School. Good morning, Sir Paul. I salute your knowledge and your topic. I would like to ask for more sources as to where I can access, especially the uses of on, because it's my first time to hear on Bohol, sir.
All right. If this is your first time to hear such thing, this is also my first time. So actually, we are surrounded by so many resources around us. So we can search it on YouTube. You can find it in the sources in the internet. You can find it in books, in anywhere that you can have more examples to this one. Because I believe there are a lot. And if you're
Yeah,
willing to still extend more miles to learn, you can use the Voice of America, the video of the Voice of America, because that emphasizes more of this. So what I give you is not everything all about the preposition, but something that you can use. But if you wish to have more, you can find it in anywhere.
that's why there's an importance that uh we the team members and all of our participants are encouraged to interact using the chat box, because who
Mhm.
knows, one of the participants here is very good at the
Mhm.
English language, and someone who can help
Mhm.
us with our
Mhm.
problems. Daghan man sa mga participants ani nga maayo, so it's
I
important that you
agree.
communicate with the other participants, aside from Sir Paul, aside from us,
Mhm.
aside from those things mentioned. The world is a learning place. You can go
Mhm.
to YouTube, to Google, you can ask you will learn everything on your own if you just want to. That's my point.
So it's all about our initiative actually when we are not satisfied
Yeah,
with one
yes sir.
source because it does not give everything what we
Mm-mm.
wanted. You go looking for something that you need that actually suits your purpose.
Mm.
There's so many things. There's so many
Yeah,
ways.
cross refer. Yeah.
Cross referring.
Compare what,
Or
yeah.
mm,
Yes, yes sir Paul, go ahead sir.
not just only the resources like the books or the learning
Yes.
materials, the LR, but we can also refer to people. My experience
Mm.
is not all about those concrete objects. I always associate with foreigners. In fact, I have 9 foreigners I chatted already.
Wow.
They help change my life for the better.
Yeah, that's good for you, Sir Paul. I actually have a friend in the US. Whenever I
Mhm.
have questions, when I have, trouble figuring out things when it comes to grammar and English, I ask my friend in the US and try to consult her of what I know and what I've learned, diba? It's
Mhm.
something that can help us. I hope that the other teachers are also doing this. Expand your networks of
Mhm.
people who are of the same niche or inclination.
Mhm.
Importante kaayo nang natin mga friends nga same po nato og inclination or interest.
Mhm. Exactly.
Okay, well explained there, Sir Paul. On Bohol, Sir Paul. Error for me, but I got it now. Thank you for another input from Ma'am Nemesia Libranza, from your teacher, Sir Paul.
From my favorite teacher, my English teacher before.
More questions? I think there are no questions from our chat box. So this time, ladies and friends, let me read the petition, the certificate of recognition from for Sir Paul from Dagatan, Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, Region 7, Central Visayas, Schools Division, Office Bohol. Certificate of recognition. This certificate is granted to Mr. Paul Kubay for serve as learning facilitator, resource speaker during English proficiency program for teachers teaching grammar communicatively in the Philippines. Given at the Schools Division Office, Bohol, Tagbilaran City, Philippines, on the 10th day of September 2021. Signed, Bianito A. Dagatan, EDD, CISO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Congratulations, Sir Paul.
Thank you, Mama Lo, for
A
the
virtual
compliments.
applause for our eloquent, brilliant speaker for today. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so this time, I want you to do not forget to um, fill in or to comply our evaluation. The is posted in our chat box, and also the attendance. Okay, so Ronilo, kindly post it again in the chat box, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Before we close this morning session, I'll just want to know if I'm getting the correct number of attendees every school here. If you hear the name of your school being called or mentioned, please let me know if I'm getting the data correctly. For Baclayon National High Schools, sakto ba ni nga 2 ang registered nga participants? or tilag upat ni sila niya ang duha wa ni attend. Sakto ba ni anyone from Baclayon National High School? Is it correct nga we have 2 participants coming from Baclayon National High School? Wala. How about Bagong Banwa High School? 2 participants. Ang ako ba ning i-post sa grupo sa mga principals. They will know if ang mga participants sa kada school wala jud di complete sa attendance or wala ni attend. Bagong Banwa High School duha ang na-record. Bantulinaw National High School 1. Biking Technical Vocational High School, we have 5. Anyone from Biking? Sakto ba ni nga 5 mong tanan from Biking High School?
Yes, sir. 5, Miss Sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Good
Thank
morning,
you very
sir. Good
much.
morning, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. How about from Busaw? I've recorded 3 attendees. Sakto ne?
Yes,
Busaw?
sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Kabilaw National High School, 2 participants.
Yes,
Correct,
sir.
sir.
2 participants.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kalapi National High School, 5. Anyone from Kalapi National High School, please? 5 participants from Kalapi. Wala may taga Kalapi. Kanangkaan Integrated School, is it correct? I've recorded 2 participants coming from your school. Kanangkaan, IS. How about Canlaas High School, 3? Canlaas High School, 3 participants.
There's a message in the
Katigbi,
chat box, sir. 3.
please respond, chat box. Asa man ni sir? Please kung bantay, Sir Paul, 3.
Kanla as 3.
Yes, sir. How about Katigbian National High School, 5? Is this correct?
Yes, correct, sir.
Okay, how about Kawayanan National High School, 3?
Still correct.
Kawayanan. Congressman Pablo Malasarte National High School, 2? Correct? Na, makulapan jud mo sa mga principal ninyo ani. Nawa mo ni attend. Corillian National High School, 3. Anyone?
Yes,
Thank you
3.
thank you very much. Dawis National High School, 4.
Yes, sir.
Dawis National. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. De La Paz High School, 2. De La Paz High School, 2.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Fatima National High School, 2. Thank you. Felix E. Bumpat High School of Panglao, 3. Felix E. Bumpat, 3.
Only 1, sir.
Only 1. So, manong tulog mo na record na ko ani sa day 1. So, usara ma'am. Usara sa Felix Bumpat ang dapat
Yes,
na.
sir.
Sige, sige ma'am. Thank you very much. How about from Fermin Tayabas High School? 4.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am. Are you from Fermin Tayabas, ma'am?
Yes, sir. We are 4.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. How about sa maning JB Governor Jacinto Borja National High
Yes, sir.
School, 3. Jacinto Borja, 3 participants. Sakto ba ni?
Yes, sir. 3.
Okay, sir. Hagbuaya High School, 4. Hagbuaya 4 ang
Only 3
na-record.
for Hagbuhaya.
Ang previous na kung na-record is 4. Sige, 3 na
Only
sila.
3, sir.
Sige, sige. Hagilanan High School, 2. Hagilanan, 2 participants. Thank you very much. Hanupol National High School, 2 participants. Hanupol, 2 participants. Loon South National High School, 3 participants. Anyone from Loon South? Yes, Ma'am Marie Chris Bernante. Where are you from, ma'am? Ma'am Bernante. Ma'am Bernante. Asa ka nga school? Asa ka nga school, Ma'am Bernante? Where are you from?
Tayabas, sir.
Fermin Tayabas. Sakto ni nga 4 participants, ma'am. Sakto ni. 4. 4, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Sige, ma'am. Thank you. Please turn off your microphone.
Okay, sir.
Lourdes High School of Cortez, 1 participant. Lourdes. Lourdes National High School of Panglao, 9 participants. Anyone from Lourdes National High School? Sakto nga 9.
Yes, sir. 9, Miss.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am Pamela Amor, Loriniana. Mantasida National High School, 2 participants. Mantasida. How about from Mart Ines F, 2 participants. Mayor A. Tuason, National School of Fisheries, 2 participants. Wala. Modisto Otida High School, 1 participant. Bantay-bantay mo kay i-post na ko ni sa group chat sa mga principal. Makibaw sila ani kinsa tong manong di mo kumpleto sa inyong school. Pagnituan National High School, 4 participants. Anyone from Pagnituan? Thank you very much, ma'am. From Pagnituan High School. Pamilakan High School, 1 participant. Pamilakan, 1. Panggangan National High School, 5. Anyone from Panggangan? Sakto na yung 5. San Roque Integrated School, 2 participants. Thank you very much, Mamayan Lasea. San Roque National High School, 5 participants. San
Yes,
Roque
sir.
National. Thank you, Ma'am Viviline. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much, ma'am.
Okay, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, from Sandingan, how about Sandingan National High School? 3 participants. Sakto na eh. Sandingan 4. Okay. Sikatuna National High School, 2 participants. Sikatuna National High School. How about from Tabalong National High School? 10 participants. Sakto na anyone from Tabalong? 10
Yes,
participants.
sir. Good morning.
Wow, very good. Yes, ma'am. Let us give Tabalong National High School a round of applause kay sila ang pinakadaghanan og attendees nya perfect attendance kalingaw. Thank you very
Salamat,
much,
sir.
ma'am, from Kuan. Sanay ka to eskwelahan na. Tabalong National High School. Tubigon West Central National High School, 6 participants. Naa ba ni? Sakto ba ni?
Yes, sir. Tubigon West Central High School, sir. Na Tubigon
Thank you,
West
ma'am.
National.
Tubigon West Central, ma'am?
Tubigon West Central High
Central.
School.
High School.
No.
Sige, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes,
Tubigon West
sir.
Central High School.
Regards
6
to Sheila,
participants.
sir. Kalonya.
Sige, ma'am. Next is Tubigon West National High School. Sakto ni Tubigon West National?
Yes, sir.
1 participant. Isa lang na participant, sir.
That's a big school, sir. That's a big
Oh,
school.
yes. Usa ra ang participant, sir. Akong na-record ari. Then, Tupas High School, 1 participant. Sakto. Thank you very much, everyone, for cooperating. Again, congratulations, Sir Paul. Daghan kayong salamat, Ma'am Marilu, for making session 5 very, very successful. Again, in the afternoon session, we will resume same time at 12:50. Then at 1 p.m., section 6 will start na. So please join or enter our meeting early ha. Kay this morning, arang daghan nang late. So ang nahitabo, nalangay pud ta. I got messages coming from my friends in CD1. They're sending me messages privately. Someone said, "Dugayan nagsugod oy. We cannot start on time because majority of the participants entered late man. So mo yung tabo. So in the afternoon, I expect everyone to be here 12:50 para makastart at exactly 1 p.m. Napatay closing program this afternoon. So we need to do our best to start on time. Again, this is our last day and mahuman na ang atong stress. Na-stress ko, na-stress mo, na-stress ang atong mga speakers. Let us help one another to make this activity successful. I'm very happy nga maayo kayo ang flow sa atong group sa CD1. Thank you very much to our research speakers, to my colleague, Mamarilo Arbasto, and the rest of the participants for cooperating. Again, thank you all.